All right. Welcome to the Real Estate Investor Podcast. I have a special guest, Mr. Rick Sheldon today. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great, man. Stoked to have you on here. I kind of refer to you as the wizard of integrations, automation, CRMs. And yeah, man, I'm super stoked to have you on here because I'm really curious. I want to get a little bit of info, on your background, like how you even got into real estate before we talk about all the cool stuff you're doing with your SaaS program and all the other awesome stuff you got going on. Like, tell me a little bit about, I know we met in the Sub2 community, but how'd you get started in real estate? Was that where you started, or what were you doing before you got into real estate?
So I graduated from Michigan State in 2016 and I got my first job, which was a sales job. I was selling lab equipment out in Arizona, in Scottsdale, Phoenix. And I loved living out there. I was selling lab equipment, so sales is sales being so important. I'm glad I went that direction and I learned a lot and I started getting interested in real estate while I was living out there. But this just goes to show you how a smart person can still be dumb pretty often, because at the time I saw the real estate market growing and I thought Arizona was kind of overpriced. And then you look 4 years in advance and prices have basically like doubled since then. So I should
Right.
have started investing when I lived out there, but I was just basically like learning while I got out there. And then I transitioned. I got a new job over on the East Coast. So I kind of put the real estate to the side while I learned that new job and built that out. I then switched over to marketing. I got my first full-time marketing position, and that was where I kind of started hating my life. And it was the incentive or the catapult, I guess, to jump into real estate finally, because going from sales to marketing, I went from managing a territory, doing my own thing, to going into an office and having all the office politics that were just terrible.
Right. The desk job.
Yeah.
So who was it that turned you on to real estate? I mean, what kind of caught your eye with that initially?
Well, bigger pockets definitely was the foray into real estate. I just started consuming bigger pockets
Mhm.
podcast articles and stuff like that when I was driving to my sales appointments. So I actually read a bunch of books, listened to a ton of podcasts, even back beginning in like 2016, 2017 when I first entered the workforce. I just never
Okay.
really pulled the trigger. I was interested. I just never got to it until finally in 2020, around August, I bought a house cash. That was my first house I bought. I actually just bought it for my sister to live in. So it wasn't even really an investment, but looking back on it, it was a really good strategy. It was a probate deal on, off market, cash offer, very low price, and it was a great deal. So ended up being a good deal, even though I wasn't quite really an investor at the time. I kind of took on the title of real estate investor a few months later.
So how'd you find that deal? Did you get that from a wholesaler, or was that something you sourced yourself?
So that's the thing. That's kind of what I mean by I wasn't really an investor yet. I still had my W-2 job. My,
Mhm.
I needed a place to set my sister up to stay. So I bought it cash. It just happened to
Mm.
be a probate situation from a family friend and a great
Okay.
price because we had a bunch of things we had to deal with, including bed
Sure.
bugs. So, yeah,
Right.
yeah, I got got a good price on it, but I wasn't really marketing at the time. I was just kind of keeping my eye out for my sister. So found that
Right.
place and then ended up getting into real estate. So technically it's kind of like my first investment, even though I didn't really view it as an investment.
That was the gateway.
Yeah. And then a few months later, went full time into real estate, left the marketing job behind. And
Really? 3
yeah,
months later.
yeah, about
Wow.
3 months. Yeah, maybe even less, maybe 2.5 months.
And what were you doing? I mean, obviously you're watching Bigger Pockets. Like most of us, I think a lot of people get introduced to real estate through podcasts and Bigger Pockets and maybe Rich Dad Poor Dad. But what exit strategy, or what were you focused on? Was it wholesaling from the get-go? Like, what were you planning to do?
Yeah. So when I first got into actually being a real estate investor full time, I had also recently discovered TTP, Brand Daniels. And through Brand
Okay.
Daniels,
Yep.
I was starting to discover Jory Alston. And then I watched a podcast episode with Jory and Pace. I quickly kind of migrated towards Pace and joined the community soon after. So all this was over the course of about 6 months, I think. I started following TTT to a T, TTP to a T. So I got a VA, we got a list, called it, just same script Brent would tell everybody, just calling you out of the blue, just wondering if you're looking to
Right.
sell. And yeah, we got, a bunch of leads. I was building my pipeline. So it took me
Mhm.
3, 4, 5 months before I really got some things together by partnering up with some people in sub two. Cause I had joined sub two over maybe about 4 months into the whole endeavor. So I was building my own pipeline. I joined sub two, connected with some people, and got my first deal right away within a week or two. I can't give all the credit to sub two, even though I will give a lot of it. I had been building my pipeline for months up until then, but
Right.
it all works out nicely. So I joined sub two, got my first deal, started wholesaling, got into creative deals, started wholesaling those, started transitioning into doing wraps and trying to keep the creative deals, and then
Mhm.
getting into rentals and buying long-term rentals. And that's kind of where I got to before I realized that I'm just more of an integrator. And then I started selling my current business.
Um, so that's kinda what pushed you. So what year was this when you joined Sub 2?
February 2021. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
about 3.5 years in now.
Awesome. Right
Yeah.
on, man. Well, it's a cool story, and it's just I love hearing where people start out, and it really interests me how people kind of fall into the path that they're on. Um, and it sounds like you had quite a bit of success wholesaling as well, and you were building a wholesale business, and then you realized, hey, I really like being an integrator, or I'm naturally inclined maybe to be an integrator. I can tell you are for sure. You're super good at what you do.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, you've been building out kind of a white label version of Go High Level, which is Open Dispo. And for anyone who's never used CRMs, it's a really powerful sales CRM. It does a ton of stuff, and you'd be the better person to explain really all it's capable of. But it's super powerful, and for anyone wanting to really manage their real estate business and leads, it's an amazing tool for that.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I think really sales in general, CRMs and sales go hand in hand. CRM is a customer relationship manager. So as a salesperson, you have to manage relationships with various types of contacts. So when you really boiled a CRM down to what purpose it really serves, it's a way to organize your contacts based on like what type of contact they are and manage those relationships.
Absolutely. And I know, so for us, we have a wholesale business we've been building the last couple years, and we bounced around different CRMs and liked certain things, didn't like others. And then we kind of like took a break from wholesaling for about a month and kind of rebuilt, and that's when I discovered, Open Dispo, and I was like, I think I feel good about this one. And we
Mhm.
jumped in, and it's definitely changed our business. And really, like for us, the biggest thing is just the follow ups and the ability to nurture these leads, because it's really all in the follow up with a lot of these
Mhm.
sellers. So I'm getting deals from 3 months ago, 6 months ago, just through texting, emailing, and following up with phone calls. So it's definitely changed the game for us. But the other thing I was really attracted to was all the AI integrations that you do, and the fact that you're kind of pre-building it out. And the other thing that I think is really cool about what you guys do is that you have a team of integrators. You're in real estate, you're a wholesaler, you understand the business. So you're not just someone building the software, but you're someone in the business. And I think that really is the difference maker for how awesome your CRM is.
Mhm. I agree because, I also took a bit of time off of like actively marketing for real estate and doing JV deals when I was really building Open Dispo. So starting about February of 2023 is when I started selling Open Dispo. And when I first started, I was, all in on it. So I paused a bunch of things. And now it's pretty well established. My team's growing nicely and we're turning on acquisition strategies again. And whenever I do that, that's when I run into the very specific challenges that I never would have otherwise uncovered if I was just selling Open Dispo.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that that gives you an advantage to your users, that you're going out and using the software to do the thing, right? At the end of the day.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
you have a unique insight. And so what kind of for those listening, tell them, kind of what your CRM does and, all that good stuff and kind of some new stuff you're working on or anything that's exciting you about what's coming up.
Cool. Well, a couple of new things. I'll get to that in a sec. Those are exciting. But yeah, overall, what it does is whatever, like, let's just talk about the onboarding process. By the end of the onboarding process, you've got a phone integrated into a CRM that you can use to text and email and call your leads. The conversation's now in one spot that's not your cell phone. So as you scale and you hire a team, your team's in one spot and your angry sellers aren't texting your, death threats to your cell phone and stuff. So having a CRM is just important generally to kind of disconnect yourself from the business to a degree. But yeah, during the onboarding process, we will get you familiar with what the tool is at its core, but also talk about the way that you want to generate leads. Maybe you're doing direct to seller inbound or direct to seller outbound or direct to agent. And maybe it's direct to agent low equity or direct to agent where you're just building a general relationship and it's not tied to an active listing. So there's all these different strategies people employ. And our goal during the onboarding is like to get them to being able to actually run that type of business by the end of the process. So for example, if they're doing direct to seller inbound, by the end of the onboarding process, they will have their phones working, leads coming in, and nurture sequences, nurturing the leads when they're too slow. But hopefully their team is also able to, jump in on the leads and connect personally. Really, AI and automation is cool, but in an ideal world, you'd never even turn it on. Lead comes in, you
Right.
connect, you get the contract, you move on and you sell it. Like never engage any of the automations, but they're there if the leads go cold.
Totally. It's an awesome tool, but it's not, you don't want to use it as a crutch.
Yeah, exactly. The teams doing the most deals on Open Dispo, they are not afraid of actually making calls.
Getting on the phone, 100%. Yeah, and it's funny because, I know someone doing 100K months with creative deals, and they're just using spreadsheets,
Yep.
they haven't even turned their CRM on, and
Yep.
at the end of the day, because someone makes the calls,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
That's all there is to it, seems like, you know?
Agreed.
So so I know you got some like an MLS offer system that you're working on launching that I'm pretty excited about because we do quite a bit of, MLS agent outreach for like short-term rentals is one of our niches. So
Mhm.
I'm looking to see how I can implement that. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we are in the beta phase, so it's just gonna be available for my team to be testing it out over the next couple of weeks, and then hopefully in about 2 weeks, around October of 2024, we're gonna roll it out to a small group. I'll make sure you're included in that small group to test it out.
Thank you,
But what
sir.
it what it's gonna allow us to do is basically, take over the whole market, hopefully, because you'll have on-market listings accessible from in your CRM without into the weeds too much. Like there's a few steps that most people have to take to begin marketing to agents. If you have a CRM, you might have to go find a list of on-market properties, export a CSV, import it into your CRM, upload it, tag them, put them into a workflow, some things like that. But we're going to avoid all those steps because you're going to have a portal in your CRM. You can enter some search criteria like area, how many days on market, minimum or maximum, how many years of ownership, minimum or maximum. So those couple of variables are what we can use to either go after, maybe ugly houses or low equity situations. So you'll set your criteria and then the resulting search will have a list of properties, each of which have a checkbox next to them. So you can look through the properties, choose which ones you want to make offers on, grab all of those and click a button to either push them into the CRM and leave it, or push them in and deliver an offer immediately.
Amazing. And will that also auto populate contact info and kind of pre-fill out the forms, like whatever type of, whether it's an LOI, standard purchase agreement, creative purchase agreement, whatever,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Cash offer, right?
yeah,
Just
absolutely. So this is how.
streamlining the process. That's the magic. Is it's like you got to make a lot of offers to get deals. So
Mhm.
it's really spending an hour analyzing a deal and then a half an hour writing up an offer. You're not going to get anywhere doing that. So it's like making everything efficient. That's what I love about this.
Yeah, because when you select those properties and you click the button to choose what to do with them, if you choose to deliver an offer, it will ask you what percentage of the list price do you want to make the offer at? And what percentage of the list price do you want your EMD to be? So just by filling those out, it's going to push in the agent's name, the property details, our company's details, and it'll actually send out an LOI with all that filled in just from saying, I want to send offers at 65% of list price and I want to include 1% EMD, something like that. And then just launch it out. And now you've
Love
just sent out 50 or 100 offers.
love it. And you can upload your own contracts and whatever that
Yep.
is. If
Absolutely.
it's a car form, and send a car form from California. So
Yep.
it's amazing. And some of the other things, your system does so much, but I'm a huge fan of efficiency. So that's why I love a CRM and I'm constantly trying to improve my knowledge and my ability to use it. But there's some really cool features like JV automations with joint venture purchase or contracts being signed and then
Mhm.
moving along opportunity fields and then assignment contracts being automatically sent, like stuff like that. This is why you want to use a CRM, is I think to implement this type of stuff.
Yep.
So as you're doing more deals, more and more stuff going on, you can manage it with a smaller team, less overhead. At the end of the day, you're making more money,
Yeah. I mean,
right?
really, you think about it. So my CRM Open Dispo is built on a tool called Go High Level. It's more of a blank canvas CRM for any industry. So I've taken that, I've built out Open Dispo using all the features that they have available. And one of the features is contract signatures, e-signatures. So this is one example, but Go High Level, this is like their mission is to replace as many other tools as possible so that people using Open Dispo only have to use one tool if possible,
Mm.
or as few tools as possible. So DocuSign is a good example. Like most investors, we use DocuSign or PandaDoc or eSignatures.io, something like that, to send out these contracts. It's a third party tool. Once you get a seller to agree to a price, you generally go grab your template from one of those tools and enter the details and send it out. So if your CRM where you're communicating with that seller is the same tool that you use to send out the contract, and then the contract is stored in the contacts page,
Right.
it's a cost saver, but it's also an efficiency improvement.
100%. Yeah. And we're just integrating those because we're a little behind the times on that. Still
All
using
good.
DocuSign.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's really, and that's really the point of, I think, utilizing it. You want it to make your life easier. And if it's not, then
Mhm.
you need to think about what you're doing, right?
Yep, and that's the biggest way we're making it easy on people going direct to agent soon. Um, yeah, so we got another cool project on the opposite side for direct to seller where you'll set a search. You'll say, I want to look in Calhoun County and I'm looking at pre foreclosures. You just save that as a search, and then anytime there's public records available in that county, they will get pushed into your CRM overnight or whenever they become available. And then we could even use that to initiate some kind of sequence. So
Love it.
that's going to be even more powerful, I think, on the direct to seller side.
I want that one too. It's amazing. So how many subscribers do you have currently on Open Dispo?
We had about 120 to begin this week, and I rolled out a new $1 per year pricing model this week, and now we're at like 150. So that pricing model, yeah, and that's a pretty cool plan of ours. It's just a good way to make it more accessible for newbies or people
Sure.
who maybe they don't even know they want to be in the real estate industry yet. Like they're trying to figure out, is this the industry? Do I want to commit to all this stuff? And, this
Right.
will give them a good entry point as they're trying to figure that stuff out. Or maybe somebody who's curious about Open Dispo, but not quite, committed yet. That's a good starting point for them as well.
Get their foot in the door, get their
Mhm.
feet wet.
Yeah.
So tell me about your different level plans then. If you were to compare I think you have 3, kind of 3 or 4?
Yeah, so we're shifting right now up until this new plan, we've had, a $3,000 per year plan and a $5,000 per year plan. And though we have
Mhm.
monthly versions as well, but the $3,000 plan, we've continued and continued and continued to build more things and provide better support and more weekly trainings and things like that. We're actually obsoleting the 2970 as we introduced the $1 per year plan. So now
Mhm.
anybody on the older plan will be grandfathered in forever. But moving forward, we'll have the $1 per year plan, which is more of a DIY, do it yourself option. Our
Mhm.
$5,000 plan is more of a done for you type of option.
Awesome. Awesome. So you have your wholesale real estate business, and how big is your team currently?
Actually, on the wholesale side, I have a strategic partnership. So um, we have a button in our CRM that invites people to do JVs with us. And when they do, they come into a CRM account that I manage, but I don't personally oversee it. I've brought on a relationship with the Creative Deal Depot with Andrew Murray and Justin Tumanowski. So they
Awesome.
are in the same account and handling the Dispo side because they're one of the most prolific teams that are using Open Dispo, and we work pretty closely together. So this was a
Awesome.
awesome fit. Yeah, so I can provide the value to my members. I can even get cut in on the profits, but I don't
Right.
actually underwrite the deals, post them, or deal with the buyers.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
And I saw you're building out kind of a JV funnel within Open Dispo as well for your users to basically get some help on the Dispo side.
Yeah, so that's what I'm alluding to is the way that the JV deals that I do almost exclusively come from my members who are submitting them through the platform to us. But also keep in mind the same survey that we use to pull in those JV deals, we make available to our members to take in their own JV deals if that's part of their business model.
Awesome.
Back to the whole, working out the bugs and implementing it for others type of thing.
Totally. Totally. So where do you see yourself in the next couple of years with the software? You got anything else on the horizon you're working on?
The software is my baby, and I'll keep it as my engine that generates cash and allows me to do my other things. So, a couple projects it's kind of the same project, but what I'm interested in at the moment is getting this land slash campground acquisition marketing going. So we've already been, going after the campground angle for a bit as far as collecting data, putting direct mail, cold email, some targeted outreach, like putting multiple campaigns together to go after those. But then this last weekend, I had a conversation with Rachel Burnett about what she's got going on in the land side and how that will just slide right into the same strategy. So land and campground slash RV park acquisitions using the same types of marketing strategies. Like I said, cold email, direct mail, and then a very targeted outreach workflow built in Open Dispo that'll include SMS, ringless voicemails, and maybe some more emails.
Beautiful. And are you looking to buy and hold some of those?
Yes. So the land, not so much. The play with the land will be getting land that's unentitled and using a phased EMD approach to work it through some milestones to get it approved. And then once it's
Mhm.
approved, it can be sold at a very high premium to developers who
Mm.
have no interest in getting land entitled. Like their plans
Right.
depend on their land already being entitled. So
Right.
they are willing to pay a premium to somebody who's taking the unentitled land, getting it entitled or, maybe subdivided or something, just taking land and adding value to it before exiting it, but
Sure.
exiting by selling it to a builder. That's the play there. The campground is more of my acquisition angle. I want to put my own capital to buy a handful of campgrounds and brand them. Like maybe put in water parks, for example, in all of them, so you can have a theme and a brand and add value to the brand by having multiple of them. So I want to buy
Love
3 to 5 campgrounds, add value, and exit as a package in a handful of years.
Amazing. And you were talking about building out kind of like a system to operate these as well, right?
Yes, that is an example of a plan that came to fruition and then was totally adjusted. So I
Mm.
wanted to start by convoluting the whole process, marketing to campground owners, offering them digital services. And then by doing that, I would fine tune the systems that are needed to develop and manage a campground. And then once I was comfortable, I would then apply that to one that I bought. talking to people doing acquisitions, I realized that's just too convoluted and it's much less lucrative than just focusing right away on the acquisitions.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that's something you could implement later after you're running some of your own.
But also, it's like I'm not too. I'm not going to shy away if I get a good opportunity to buy a campground. I'm not going to shy away because I don't have the systems built. I know I can build
Right.
them out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were actually super close to picking one up here in our hometown recently. I had the
Mm.
partners lined up. I had all the capital raised. I was like, it's going to happen finally.
What
And then
happened with
last
it?
the neighbor found out it was going for sale
Oh,
and they just swooped in. Yeah,
dang it.
last minute swooped in, little bidding war, and yeah, so that's that's how it goes though. You know, we've offered on a ton of stuff. Like we've been kind of trying to cherry pick these gems, and they don't we don't come across them every day.
Mhm.
And so yeah, that one we came super close, but
Yeah, well,
the
better luck
universe
next
gives you what
time.
you need. Yeah, exactly.
Um, yeah, and honestly, it's like you heard my numbers. There's people whose goals are to, pick up 1 per year, 1 per quarter, whatever. I think based on me knowing, my goals and my, um, level of pain tolerance and how much I've already got going on elsewhere, my plan is just to
Right.
pick up 3 to 5, add value, in the realm of
Mhm.
a couple million per campground and exit the bundle at a premium that will allow me to not really worry about that anymore.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of room to add value with those because it's a lot of mom and pop owners who kinda, they a lot of times they don't even have websites, there's a phone line no one answers,
Yep.
no marketing, no proper Yelp or Google or anything, so there's a massive opportunity to come in utilizing current technology that's available, apps, and
Mhm.
run those a lot leaner and really drive revenue, which then increases the value on those because 'cause they're commercial assets, which
Absolutely.
is amazing exit strategy and the one we're focused on in the future as well.
Yep, absolutely. It's very low hanging fruit in that way as far as, well, I don't wanna sound so, overconfident that I will say, "Hey, I can come in and run this better than the mom and pop who's run it for 30 years." I'm sure they they have a good they
Right.
have a good operation going. They do know what they're doing. Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
if we can match that and improve their systems, then of course we're gonna add value.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, just by leveraging, modern booking sites and doing more marketing and branding,
Mhm.
you can really drive revenue, and then through some renovations and modern aesthetics, I think you can attract a whole new type of avatar, guest or client there,
Yep.
and you're gonna drive revenue doing that for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly, and then the idea of kind of, like, putting a theme around them with something like a water park as an example will just be a revenue builder as well.
100%, 100%. So, you got any events you're going to this year?
There's one
Any
that
convention?
my mom sent me my mom sent me a link the other day. I can't remember who's hosting it, but it seemed like a pretty good one. It's nearby. It's in Ohio. I'm in Michigan, so I can swing by there. I think it's on Halloween or the day after Halloween. I'll have to find out
Nice.
who it is and maybe give it a better shout out because I can't remember right now, but it'll be like a 2-day
Yeah.
event in Cleveland, I believe, at the end of
Okay.
October. So I'll be there and yeah, nothing else planned, but I do wanna book a few. What do you have going on? Anything I should sign up for?
We're still up in the air. We'll see.
Mm, yep,
Squad
no.
up probably.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Squad Up was well worth it.
So that's the only one we got planned at the moment, but
I actually got my Squad Up
so
shirt on right now.
nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, okay, so for everyone listening, now, where can they follow you? Where can they get your CRM, you guys? Because he just launched this thing for $1 a year. So, I mean, literally, you got nothing to lose and everything to gain by getting yourself an account. So, where can they find you, follow you, join Open Dispo?
Yep, so the best way to get started on the CRM if you wanted to try out that $1 thing is just gonna be dollar.opendispo.com, and that'll take you right into the order page to get started, and if you really don't like it and you want your dollar back, we can accommodate that as well. Yeah,
Oh, don't
but
be
I'll
cheap. Come on.
no, I got but also Facebook and Instagram, that's kinda where I'm active. On Facebook, it's just Rick Sheldon. Instagram, it's Rick Sheldon underscore REI.
Awesome, Rick. Well, thanks so much for coming on. Hey, if you guys got any value from today, please like and subscribe. Give Rick and I both a follow. Please share this with your friends. And yeah, I look forward to seeing the new launches on the platform, and maybe we'll have you on once we get a little further. Maybe next year we'll do another one of these.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
Awesome, Rick. Thank you.
Bye.